born in drama, they thrive on tension. I told the teacher, suck my dick, I got suspended. Nobody asked a young nigga why he did it. Nobody asked a young man why he with it. See, I fuck with rejects, they often trouble. Ain't no fair ones, you get it double. Get high respect, we got in trouble. I miss my old team, we gave him trouble. See, I was deep in. See, the water was so deep we couldn't see in. Thought the water was shallow, it wasn't deep in.
Good morning,
the game quicksand and we was sinking. I lost the Brodies, I was doing weekends. I lost my niggas.
Let me finish tagging and we're gonna get to it.
I lost some friends, I lost a lot. We needed hugs, but we hugged the block. We needed love. Ain't gotta support me, nigga. Your diamonds fake, they Savorsky, nigga.
What up?
You ain't
Please share a video for me.
You ain't official.
Lava, shut up.
Rented.
Lay down.
Now you ain't real. You just pretending. Ain't gotta support me, nigga. Your diamonds fake, they Savorsky, nigga.
What up?
You ain't authentic. You ain't official.
Good morning, good morning.
You ain't ready.
I ain't gonna say happy Thanksgiving because it ain't shit thankful about the giving. But nah, I understand that today is a holiday for most. So I figured I'd come up here this morning and I have a conversation about it, but not even about knocking it. Like, you celebrate Thanksgiving, cool. We not knocking it, right? Because we understand a lot of us grew up on Thanksgiving and these American holidays. But my question to the public this morning, and please share the video, because that's the way we get more people involved, you know what I'm saying? I've been asking myself, why do we celebrate Thanksgiving? You know what I'm saying? And that's the question I had, so feel free to write on the board, you know what I'm saying, your answer. And I'll read them out this morning, and I'm going to sit here and really chop it up with y'all. But the question is of the day, why do people, especially black people, celebrate Thanksgiving? You know what I'm saying? On both levels. I want it all. You can say, well, I just want to be around my family. You can say whatever. I ain't knocking it, but we're going to have a real conversation. Because I think it's very important, because I sat back and I realized that it's a lot of like woke people, as we say, right? And it kills me how all year long, especially, you know, this conscious world ain't always been like this. This conscious world been like this for, like, I say the last 3, 4, 5 years, the conscious world has developed online. Good morning. Good morning. And I'm not knocking you if this morning y'all celebrating Thanksgiving. I think that'd be the wrong angle. I just think having a good conversation about understanding of what's really going on today is a better conversation, right? In the past five and a half, I think this will be year 6, I haven't celebrated a holiday. And see, my personal logic on this situation and this topic was, as I was learning, I wanted to, like, you know what I mean? I'm one of them people that I like to exercise what I've learned or what I know with all things, whether it's in the music world, as an artist, as an engineer, whatever, as with the dogs, with the clothing. I'm always thinking that way. So once I really started reaching, and as I started learning about history and just started going back like 10 years ago, one of the things that bothered me is that I stopped celebrating on holidays. Like, I actually activated this whole shit. And I wanted to see if would it bring me any peace, or would it bring me anything outside of just saying, oh, I ain't doing it? Because I think I've spoke about it and I've mentioned it in pieces, but I never really broke down the benefit of it, and then the benefit of not celebrating holidays and where the freedom comes from financially, and that mental burden of having to keep up with society. And, you know, I think we had a conversation like a couple months ago, probably like last year. I had a little conversation saying that all the holidays in America, is 12 months in a year. And I believe that we came up with that it was only 1 month out the year that didn't have a holiday, but I think somebody showed me that it was 2 in a year. So I think it's either like 11 or 12 holidays, and maybe about 13, I think somebody pointed out, a year. So at that rate, financially, especially when we talk about the poverty people, the people that's poor, you know what I'm saying, the black people that we call the Mexicans, all these people, right? Every year is 12 months in a year, and we got like 12, 13 holidays. So every month we being regulated financially with these holidays, right? There's a regulation going on. Rather, if you realize, I want you to think about what I'm saying to y'all. Every month, let's just start from Thanksgiving. That's November. December, what we got? Christmas. So they want you to do. I don't think that we realize that as a people, we being kind of used in this process, right? And just hear me out. I'm not telling you to agree with everything I'm saying, but hear me out of the logic of how it hurts us. Because I understand the other side of it. Like, you know, you get time off from work, or as my niggas would say, the plantation, and then you want to spend time with your family. No doubt. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not knocking you for having a job, but it is what it is when it comes down to how the wealthy see it, right? But we got Thanksgiving. So let's start with Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving, we got the whole month. And so it's basically what we doing is we regulating the cost of turkey, gravy, stuffing, everything, cranberry, you know, all of the stuff that probably sit on the shelves and is overproduced all year. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of that shit, like the cranberry and all that, and all of these sodas and drinks, it's a selling point for the country. It's a day where grocery stores and shit like that for that week, it's gonna be a boom. Billions of dollars spent that week of Thanksgiving. So outside of what it does for us, for the country, it's an economical boom for the society. And that's Thanksgiving. Now, the positive is what we get to see family, right? So we get to see family, we get to sit around and stuff. That is a good thing. Now, I did my research on a deeper level years ago, again, to see were these days that we worship holy days to our ancestors. And what I found was that, yes, a lot of these days are actually like holy days to our ancestors. I won't say all of them, but don't quote me on exact dates. But I do know that majority of them, like Christmas is the equinox, you know what I'm saying? You know, the winter solstice, I mean, and then you got Easter, which is like equinox, and it's like all of these things did represent something spiritual for us that has something to do with the solar system or life around us, right? So I understand it. So people be like, well, what's the problem? Well, the problem is we're not worshiping that shit. And we're not even giving thanks or praise. You know what I'm saying? Say, bro, we can look at anything and see it through our eyes for what it is. So what I see might not, you might not see looking at the same thing, but I do understand what you're saying. No, I respect it. You know what I'm saying? My logic of it is that I grew up in a family that celebrates everything, right? But when I got old enough to, when I became a man, right? Because a lot of us, when I got smart enough to know better, because a lot of us don't grow up and get smart enough to know better. When I got like, a lot of us celebrate holidays, but how many of us really, really study history? I'm not talking about like, you see, I get in a lot of, and not you, bro, I get in a lot of conversation with people who know black history from like public school, or they got their bits and pieces from from documentaries, or they got bits and pieces from YouTube and the internet and things people share, and they looked into it. But that's a difference from actually going and digging for yourself. See, we got to a point in the last 100 years where after we got the ability to get education and learn the shit, we don't really dig. So, of course, everything is hidden by, oh, it's family. You know what I'm saying? It's family. Yo, you know what I'm saying? It's family. When really, I'm not knocking it. I'm saying that what you celebrate Thanksgiving for, I respect it. Before we go further in this conversation, understand that I respect why you celebrate it, but we need to have a conversation about the rest, about the financial and what it does for the person, and what it does for the family and shit. If we're going to celebrate these days, then let's celebrate them for what they worth. And even if you're going to celebrate Thanksgiving, the mature part of this shit is when you sitting down, there should be a history lesson going on at that table with your mama, your grandmama, your aunts, your uncles, and these kids. They need to know. Like, that's the other side of this shit. I'm not knocking people for still celebrating Christmas that they know, like, it has nothing to do with their religion. If you a Christian, and it has nothing to do with Jesus Christmas. You know what I'm saying? Not what we worship in Halloween. Everybody said that everybody used to always say, oh, that they love God or they love their religion. But every time Halloween come, niggas dress their kids up like demons and like the motherfuckers that they, you know what I'm saying, the shit that they actually not about. And then it's all good. You know what I'm saying? It's that. Now, on an ancient level, let's use Halloween for example. On an ancient level, for our people, it was a Day of the Dead where we represented it. Like a lot of people get it mistaken and thinking that, oh, that's a Mexican or that's a Hispanic holiday, but that was our holiday. The Hispanics adapted our culture. You know what I'm saying? So, and that's after. Remember, these Hispanics, these light-skinned Hispanics came from after the colonization and the mixing, and they mixed to be lighter. So let's be clear, right? And the ancient story says that the first time that the Europeans was here, during that time, they were scared because people was walking up. They were scared that the dead people was going to come back and you know what I'm saying, and kill them and shit. And it wasn't that, but people was dressing up in this way because it was a time when we gave thanks to our past ancestors. Technically, it was a day when Halloween wasn't Halloween, you know what I'm saying? But it was that day is the day that we gave thanks and praise to our ancestors to let me know we still remember them. You know what I'm saying? Because when we speak about them, they still exist. That's why people live forever. You know what I'm saying? You say, I'm really not in the holidays. I celebrate everything by Saturday and the same Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And I feel you. Nah, and I respect it. And I appreciate you giving me feedback, y'all, that do speak on how y'all feel, because that's what this about. But it's a holiday. Now, if we celebrate Halloween and we get our kids to go get candy, and they going outside to get candy, and they dressing up like serial killers and shit, you know, kids learn from what they see, not from what you tell them. That's called socialization. So a lot of us celebrate these holidays not because it's something that we genuinely looked into, but because we have become accustomed to the programming that was given us as little kids. Like a lot of us has never even did anything outside of what they told you. You do this month, you do that, next month you do that. You know what I'm saying? Word. He said, cause you're trying to eat. He said, we don't give a fuck about pilgrims or that shit. Right, now, I do. See, the difference between me and most black people is that most of us don't know our history and don't know our connection to the so-called Indians in America. So while everybody else, niggas ask me like, what's my problem, to be clear? Because maybe I'm the only person that feel like this because I really respect my ancestors when the rest of us don't give a fuck about nothing but the small shit is at the end of the day. That's because we don't recognize our connection to our ancestors. Now, me, luckily, in my grandmother's house, my aunt's house, they had a family tree where I could see my great-great-grandmother was Blackfoot. You know what I'm saying? On my mama's side, I know that my mother's father's Ethiopian, right? So I understand, like, when you really got a personal connection to this shit, and then you start realizing that these so-called Indians was dark, or you know, the copper people in America, right? Then you'll look at this shit differently. I just don't think y'all really look at it for what it's worth. And what I mean by that is, at the end of the day, like, I feel disgusted every time Thanksgiving come up, and I see niggas in the stores buying turkeys and shit, and all of that shit, and I just feel like, yo, this is ignorance at its highest form on a spiritual level, right? It don't get me wrong. I'm not saying you ignorant. I got a lot of arguments with niggas. I really don't care, but I do try to be respectful about it because it's not about me trying to disrespect nobody. But I be feeling some way, and it's a lot of shit that I feel some way about that my people don't give a fuck about. You don't see no connection to you and them Indians they pushed out of Virginia, aka Virginia, or the East Coast, or those indigenous people that they pushed out. You don't see that they came here and then dinner time, you know what I'm saying? Some people that say they get them blankets, they were sick already. Historically, the European that came over on that boat, half-life was like 13, 14 years old. Old man for them was like 28 years old because they was carrying diseases. And that's all, where they came from, that shit was normal. So to them, it was a normal thing. When they came over here, we got to start asking ourselves, wasn't this, they came here, but they already had a plan. We sat down and we gave them Thanksgiving. You know what I'm saying? That's why I said in one of my old songs that everybody used to ask me about, like, we invited them to supper, they called it the last dinner. I want you to understand that mindset. We invited them for food and to have thanks and peace and shit. This happened on many continents. And they came in looking like this the last supper these niggas ever gonna have. Now think about that when you think about the last supper, right? That's how they went down. They would have meals with us and feasts to celebrate unity, and then it'd be our last supper as a people, technically. You know what I mean? So it's those things, and then, you know, the blankets that they gave the Indians that had like polio in them and chicken pox and all this shit on it that killed so many motherfuckers. See, that shit wiped out. That shit wiped out a whole many civilizations where they didn't even have to kill shit. They was just falling sick to this shit. Now, for some people, it's too hard for your stomach, so everybody say you want to go eat. Go ahead and eat that European bird, my nigga. That's what I tell people at the end of the day. That turkey not real. Do your research. You think the turkey natural? That's what I be trying to tell y'all. Think that turkey fucking natural. That turkey a mixture between like two animals. Check me. Most of the animals, that pig is a mixture of an aardvark, an anteater, and a couple other things. So it's that same thing. Like we eating, and then not to mention that they got the nerve that we got the nerve to be arguing with niggas about soul food as if soul food came from us. Niggas weren't even eating meat like that before slavery. We ate fruit, you know what I'm saying? And we call meat, that shit flesh. I tell you all the time. My question is, where's your logic at? When I said that when I made my step towards this shit, like 6 years ago, I stopped celebrating holidays. And let me tell you what it did for me, for everybody that always be like, bruh, tripping. Thanksgiving, I saved a couple $100, and then I'm still eating shit. Like, you know, I still go see my mother and shit in there, but other than that, nobody's gonna make me. Let's be respectful. Spiritually, nobody can make a person do anything. So I'm not here to change your mind. But spiritually, with our families, if we this how fucked up we are as a people and don't even realize it. Somebody in your family become conscious and say, I ain't celebrating holidays because I want to show respect to my ancestors, not celebrate some shit that they got killed for. I'm not doing Christmas because they regulating our money. That shit ain't got nothing to do with the spiritual aspect of my child. I do for my child all year. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this. And it's like when we start doing it, everybody in the family like, well, who the fuck you think he is? You know what I'm saying? Nigga, I raised you to be this way. Like, I raised you to be a motherfucking slave and eat this goddamn turkey and this pork that's killing us every fucking day and this mac and cheese. They got niggas with high blood pressure and these candy. Don't get me wrong, my mama cook her ass off. Y'all think y'all get me twisted. My mama that nigga in Thanksgiving. So don't get me wrong, I'm not knocking y'all, but I'm saying like, yo, fuck that. Let's have a real conversation today. Every time I wake up on Thanksgiving, I feel disgusted. I feel I'm the only person on the continent. Now y'all niggas can look at me and my features and tell that I got the indigenous in me. But so do all of y'all. You know what I'm saying? You need to know your history. Most of us never came out of that slave trade. And then we did come out of the slave trade, the slave that came up from South America into America. If you know your history, they had abolished slavery at one time early. It wasn't allowed in this part of the country. You know what I'm saying? America was known as the copper people. We look like copper. You know what I'm saying? Africans, they're darker. Their hair is different from ours. You know what I'm saying? And like I tell you, like, and even if you look at like the Ethiopian in me, these niggas got certain types of hair. You know what I'm saying? But the word Ethiop means burnt faces, and not only that, but even in our law dictionaries, and when the definition of a Moor is somebody that's like a dark-skinned person, but that says a Mexican, Ethiopian, it's like these were labels. So I want y'all to understand, right? Now all that shit is killing people, right? And we run around this motherfucker like this holiday so crazy, like them scraps that the plantation master gave us, that cause we had to make the best out of what he gave us with that ham and the rest of that shit, you know what I'm saying? And we made miracles. You know, niggas love bacon. I ain't gonna cap on you. Like, I'm not lying to y'all saying like, oh, I don't miss this, and that, but yo, we sleep as shit. And we be running around here acting like we woke. And I watch everybody run around sharing shit on Facebook and YouTube, and everybody Madara Hotep and all this other shit, and niggas ain't living like that. We ain't be perfect, but niggas ain't living like that. Right? So Thanksgiving coming a day with it. This is an important day to us. When we recognize that Thanksgiving is a very important day in American history, and on the day when the tides turn, because we ate with them, and that night when we went to sleep, and we ate and we drunk. And we, you know, that's how we celebrated, and we was fucked up. And that night they went motherfucking, it wasn't no teepees, nigga. It was house to house. Joe Watson said it was more houses than it was. Joe Watson said in his letter that it was more books in people's houses. It was more books in the houses of the indigenous and the Moors than it was refrigerators and stoves. Now there was some tribes that lived in teepees and shit, but those are like the outskirt tribes. You know what I'm saying? It's not really what they taught us. They only gave us the pieces that make the story make sense to find enslavement for history, right? So we in this motherfucker, and so we keep going, right? I'm offended, and the fact that y'all niggas not offended be bothering me at the end of the day. Niggas be like, bro, I want to chill. For what? We ain't in the same place. You know what I'm saying? No matter what I say, it's always gonna be a fight, but I understand that's what come with this shit. But somebody gotta speak the fuck up. So, not knocking you, I'm speaking from my perspective. If you go eat, don't listen, I'm not saying if you go eat, then I'll be mad at you. Do your thing. I'm just asking you to be responsible. Pull your kids to the side tonight and show them what the fuck really happened every year. And every year y'all go deeper and deeper in the situation. And every year you explain to them like what happened. Because as a kid, like, we get a story, but they show us Indians that don't look like us, so we not connected to it. In reality, the motherfucker, that was us. Not them pale motherfuckers that you think. You know what I mean? When they came to this place, it was people already inhabiting this shit. They said it. They said they look like the Africans of the Nile Valley. Feel me? I be telling people all the time, like, to prove to y'all, if y'all want to check to see this shit, listen, look up Mississippi. Mississippi is a state now, but Mississippi was the oldest civilization on earth that they think. And they don't talk about it a lot. Indiana got pyramids. Look it up. Wichita, New Orleans is the oldest mounds on planet Earth. See, our pyramids so old, most of them shits are crumbled in the damn dirt. And some of them just mounds. Like, and some people not saying they always pyramids. The original structure was originally big dirt mounds that evolved into other things. Some people think that the pyramid builders came from America. And as they migrated down and met their family members in Africa, they did. Now that's just a theory. And the reason why they say that is because Nefertiti poured that cup of water in her tomb that flowed like the Mississippi River. And the Mississippi go all the way from the middle of the continent all the way down in the bottom of Texas back into the ocean. That's the Nile River of America. It says there are mounds and pyramids older than over there. Yeah. Here. They don't talk about it. I'm not saying every pyramid in America is older, but I think y'all should look into it. Yeah, bro. There are mounds and pyramids that's older. You know what I'm saying? Than a lot of them. And like I was saying, Egypt and shit, that shit looks so good because it's like one of the babies. You know what I mean? The last built shit, some of the youngest shit is the stuff that's still surviving and standing today. You know what I'm saying? Some of the shit that they technically couldn't destroy or didn't want to because they didn't understand it, but they knew it meant something. Right? But let's pause. Let me jump the line real quick. So we got October. A lot of us ain't spending big money on candy, but we regulating costumes and all that shit. It's still that year. They're Party City and all these stores are making enough money that year to regulate. So then after Thanksgiving, y'all spend hundreds on food. So how the fuck is we getting financially secure and stable when we following the leader ass people? So Thanksgiving come, a couple hundred go out the mills. I get the family and shit, but look at the money spent. Right after that, Christmas come. I see how tight money get when October hit. Niggas' pockets get tighter in the world. I sell clothing and dolls and shit, so I can tell. For some reason, every time I get like October, November, December, like niggas be scraping for their paper, like everything tight. And then think about the mindset. I sit around and watch parents like that. Respectfully, I sit around and I watch motherfuckers run around like, yo, I gotta get this for my kids. I gotta get this new PlayStation for $1,000. I gotta get this. I gotta get this. I gotta get this. And I be sitting back and I'm looking like, look how the government got these niggas. Feel me? They got you so caught up on buying your kids the latest toys and keeping them up with the latest fashion that we wonder why we ain't financially free. We supposed to be the poverty, but we spend the most money on shit. When I go up top, but when I go to the hood, every time I see niggas in the hood, it's more model and Gucci and shit everywhere than it is anywhere else. And niggas ain't got no houses and niggas don't own shit. You know what I'm saying? But that's what we on. It said that put them joints in the fourth quarter for a reason. Yeah, hell yeah. Talking about like when it comes down to the artists and everything that's being sold fourth quarter, because fourth quarter gonna go into Christmas, bro. I agree. So look at that. So let's say we spend like $200 on October. Let's say we spend like $400-500. You know what I'm saying, on food. That's $7. Then we go on Christmas. Niggas spending bands to try. If you got 3-4 kids, and this not me. Nah, listen. I'm not here to tell you what the fuck you can do and can't do for your kids. I'm just here to have a conversation with you about the logic of it. People take me so wrong. At the end of the day, people get upset with me, which is cool, but it's the logic of what I'm saying. Think about when I be talking to y'all. Don't get mad at me. I want y'all to think about that shit for months and then apply it, a little bit of it. Like, just don't celebrate like 2 small holidays and see what it do for you. You know what I'm saying? And see, you feel me? Like, it's that I expect from people, not this. But it come with it. So Christmas, niggas spending $1,000. You got your kids, y'all got all that shit going on. And as soon as y'all go broke for these kids, right? Who the toys gonna be broke in a week. You know what I'm saying? Shit ain't even gonna be right. You know what I'm saying? The video game system got you for the game tag, right? Got you for the games itself, and then got your ass for motherfucking online subscription. You know what I'm saying? And so let's just put, let's say 2 bands, 1,500 2 bands on your kids, right? Then as soon as you like, I did it. New Year's, niggas. This is plantation shit. And then New Year's come, and when the New Year's come, what niggas doing? This is the day-to-day. So Christmas, let me go back. Christmas is the day they regulate toys and clothing and all this shit. Like all that overabundance of shit that's just sitting around the stores. Then Christmas niggas buy it, find little shit. They find what they can for their kids and for their family members. Right? So New Year's come. New Year's come. This how they regulate all their alcohol in America. So I think this ain't no fucking holiday. This is how the government continues to regulate their paper. All right, we gonna, all the alcohol we had in the back storage, all right, boom, we gonna put it out. Not only we gonna put it out, we gonna charge more for this shit because we know they gotta have it. And then boom, bars, you know what I'm saying? That's our culture. We're a culture full of drunks and drug addicts and shit. Boom. And that's just simple and plain. Now, is there historical reasons behind drinking? There is, but it's not America. You feel me? See, there was a culture, and I don't want to misplace it because I think I know, but I want to say the wrong one. But there was an ancient culture of ours who their water was dirty. The water was polluted. They couldn't drink that water. They was getting sick. So they found a way to make that water into a beer. And they still get the water out the beer. And like even little kids drunk beer. They couldn't drink the water. See, that's different. See, that's how beer was created. Was the fact that they couldn't drink the water. And they found a way to be able to turn this water and these hives into, fermentation and get this water at a certain way, even though they got drunk. You know what I'm saying? But even the little kids was allowed to drink because beers weren't that crazy, but they still got you tipsy. You understand? That's not our culture though. You know what I'm saying? See, that's the genius of how that shit got introduced to us. You know what I mean? In January we got that, and niggas gonna go out the first of the year. Now they tell you if it ain't even first of all the real New Year in like April, not January. But see, that's how far off we are. Just like Jesus wasn't born in December 25th. Technically, he was born in a mange in the spring. That's another conversation. But the Catholic Church decided to put that there, right? See, this history is the reason why I be telling niggas like, people be mad, but you need to know this shit. It's public record. You know what I'm saying? So we got alcohol. So at the beginning of the year, it's how, if that is, let's just use for America's year, in our minds, January 1st, supposed whatever you do, whatever you're doing to start the new year represents what you're going to be doing for the year. So if niggas drunk, niggas fucked up, niggas doing all types of shit, partying, that's the vibe you started for the year. You started your year drunk, fucked up. Like me, nigga, like you going out, bro, I'm in the studio. I was in the studio every New Year's. I made sure that when the ball dropped, I was making a record because that's what I wanted to manifest. You know what I'm saying? Or I was in there studying law or reading shit. You know what I'm saying? In the day, it was like, look at this hood nigga. Like, damn right, I got tired of this shit. You know what I mean? But it was for me. I'm speaking for me. And I'm just laying my facts on the table. So New Year's, niggas go out and spend a couple hundred just on liquor. Oh, let's not talk about the clothing that niggas wearing. Because some motherfuckers, you wear their Christmas clothes, some motherfuckers go buy it, go get fresh for it. Whether you do or not, that's your business. Let's go to the next one. And if I skip a holiday, if y'all know a holiday I'm skipping, write it on the board, because I'm going to back up. After January, so we done spent thousands December, then we done spent a couple hundred in January, right? And then here come motherfucking February. So now February come, they gonna start, look, as soon as goddamn Christmas over, as soon as Thanksgiving over, like starting tomorrow, they gonna have Christmas shit out. That's how they be on that shit in the store. You know what I'm saying? As soon as Christmas over, December 26th, them niggas start selling Valentine's Day right after. I want y'all to pay attention. We don't pay attention to shit. And then, so then they gonna tell us, okay, you know, this is when you drink and spend your money on liquor. And then February come and they say, yo, you love your girl, right? Because this shit got sick because this holiday became entitlement for shit. Now, don't get me wrong, women. Don't take me out of context. Just hear me out on my logic on this, right? Because I do understand from conversating that things come off wrong. So just hear me out. And if it come out wrong, I'm just saying, like, they tell us when we supposed to do for our girl or our moms and shit. So then they put the men in the financial spot. It's like, you got to buy for your mama, technically. You got to buy for your daughter. Your sisters be wanting gifts and shit. This is another bag, right? And then if women don't get you nothing back, it's okay. You know what I'm saying? Now let's talk about it. Cupid, that whole concept of Valentine's Day come from the Greeks. The Greeks was a society of homosexuals where men dated men, but it was more common for an older man to be with like a 16-year-old boy in a marriage, and maybe, you know what I'm saying, an older woman be with a younger girl in a marriage. The society of Greek, Cupid wasn't pointing no arrows at boys and girls. He was shooting niggas in their butts. He was shooting other little boys in their butts with his arrow. And y'all niggas run around talking about, I love my girl. Niggas, a homosexual holiday. And I'm just saying, nobody talks about it. That's the truth. Do your research. The Greek culture. That's why in Sparta, they was like, them boy lovers, they did their part. The Spartans didn't even want to get them credit. You know what I'm saying? And that's why the Spartans left the Greeks and went and died. They rather die by themselves than to be, you know what I'm saying, next to them. That's the subliminal that they didn't make clear to y'all. But Cupid is homosexual. These niggas, Cupid was in the gym. The gym is another Greek word. Gymnasium means, the definition is where men wrestle butt naked. What? So every time, technically in America, they changed that shit and they made the gym like PE, but that's where men wrestle butt naked on top of each other. But they're talking about Cupid. Cupid didn't want even about heterosexual relationships. What are you talking about? What's next? Y'all, come on. What's next? What come up in March? Because I might be losing it. What come up in March? Kind of Easter come after that. If y'all remember, what's in March? It's like then every month there's a holiday. Oh, I'm sorry. You know, they give us Martin Luther King Day. You know what I'm saying? But we ain't really spending no money on that. So that's why I say holidays. Like the real holidays. We got Easter. When I was watching this TV show that I was going to do a convo about American Gods, right? It's a TV show on Stars. And the concept of this show is about how the old guys, like the gods of Egypt, the black guys, and all the ancient gods, after they came to America, as they say, came to America through the show, like, you know, some of them came with people during the migration of different types of religions during that time in history when they told you that everybody was coming over. But on this show, at first I didn't get it, and I started watching it, and they made a point. So in one episode, they was telling you about Easter. They were trying to get the old guys to fight the new guys, because the new guys getting all the attention of man. And so Poseidon, or you know, Thor's father, who is basically the devil, right? He goes with bruh, and he tell him like, yo, when you see her, don't be too happy with it. He talking about Easter. So he's in there, and when they go inside the TV show, there's like 2,000 different types of Jesus. And so, bro, like, why is there so many Jesuses? He was like, yo, ever since colonization, there's the Mexicans pray the Mexican Jesus, the blacks pray the black Jesus, you know what I'm saying, the so-called Africans, they pray to African Jesus, the Chinese pray to the Chinese Jesus, and if you pray to him and give him power, so it was all of these different Jesuses with different nationalities. Everybody had a Jesus in their own representation, and if you pray to it, it give it power, right? And so he go to Easter, and he talking to her, and she was like, I'm comfortable. He was like, he was like, yo, how the fuck you comfortable? The new guys don't love you. You know, she was like, well, actually, as long as they still put my bunnies, because Ishtar was the first representation of what we call Easter, but it was spring, Ishtar, right? meaning that they prayed to this God in the ancient times because if they didn't pray to her, they were scared that spring wouldn't come. And the spring don't come, the animals don't reproduce, the food don't grow, and the shit don't come back, so they don't get to eat. So they prayed for necessity. It wasn't out of like, that's why they was praying. And that's what he was telling her. He was like, now, they gave you Easter, you know what I'm saying, that fake ass holiday where they got you sidestepping to Jesus who wasn't even he didn't even exist when they was worshiping you. This is what the show's saying, but it's history. American Gods is the name of the show. He like, they didn't even fucking exist. And you happy that they put a couple Easter eggs that, this whole day used to be worshipped of you because they were scared that you didn't rise and you didn't, you know what I mean? But now you happy to be Jesus' side chick? You feel me? And he convinced her to rebel against the new gods. The new gods being technology, being the internet, right? And then it's funny because through all the guys he went to see, he was like, yo, we got to go see money. And they was like, money? He was like, money is the most powerful god of all. He said, what you mean? He said, I don't care what you believe. I don't care what you believe or who you worship. Money is exchanged. And I was like, damn. See, it's these shows, it's called American Gods, and the main character is a black man named Shadow. Now, in the first 2 episodes, it's super dark. You know what I'm saying? Like it's kind of gory, so I was like kind of turned from it. But as it keep going, you need to understand that they're showing you the representation of all the gods. You know what I'm saying? Being the internet, the cyber, the internet, social media. Social media is a Chinese girl. She a Chinese god. But it's funny because China control the technology. And not to get off subject, but I'm just trying to get y'all to see the information out here. And if you woke and you really woke at the end of the day, how are we woke but not willing to take and shut down the necessary channels that we supposed to? If we woke, we stop celebrating these holidays and start wasting our money on this shit. If you're gonna do for your kids, do for your kids. I'm not knocking you. But I know for a fact we spend over $10,000 to $20,000 a year on holiday celebration, right? And like I said, nobody told me March. So all right, let's go April, Easter, right? And then we keep going. And no matter how far we go, we keep going to, we can go to like Veterans Day and shit, and it's like end of the day, and we fighting, like we fought in that war, but we came back and still was slaves, and they didn't even want to let us fight, even though we had some of the most dominant wars. So we celebrate that, even though we never got equal treatment or independence in that. July 4th, Independence Day, we ain't even fucking free. June 19th, niggas got shot more than ever in the last 4 or 5 years, and niggas run around on June 19th like we won something. We ain't win shit. Just like I tell people how niggas be walking around like, yo, Martin Luther King won a Nobel Peace Prize. How the fuck do you win a peace prize when ain't no peace? It's all cap. You get a war for peace, but it ain't no peace in the street. What's in March? St. Patrick's Day. St. Patrick's Day is a holiday from another country. Right? And it's not funny. Dr. Ben used to be like, he got a holiday for catching snakes. For catching snakes, my niggas. Do your research. Dr. Ben kept it funky. The first black Egyptologist, that's Dr. Ben Yosef. Yo, the nigga said he was catching snakes, and they gave him a holiday. See, like Dr. Ben said, we the only people in the world that ask for holidays. The rest of the world, when they got holidays, everybody just, on the days of the people they love, nobody went the fuck to work. They took the holiday. Fuck they gonna do about it? You know what I mean? You don't ask for permission. The people control the government still, even though we don't think we do. These billionaires and trillionaires, their money stopped growing and we stopped going to work, but we don't see it that way. You know what I'm saying? But July 4th, Independence Day, we're not independent. No matter what holiday they give us, Labor Day, they give you work all year long. And they give you 24 hours. And not only they regulating Labor Day like Thanksgiving, my nigga. July 4th, Labor Day, all that shit like Thanksgiving. Easter even became like Thanksgiving. We cooking now, we turning up. But ain't nobody at these. I went to one of my family gatherings. They got mad at me that year. I don't know if I was right, but I felt that shit in my soul. Like, we having a conversation. Like, I don't even want to be around. What we talking about? We ain't talking about shit. We not talking about the history of the shit and how it affected our people and how we can overcome. We sitting around eating turkey and shit and doing all this shit. You feel me? That turkey ain't natural, nigga. We eating all of this shit. You know what I'm saying? That gravy. It's all of that shit that be having us dead. We are worshiping the demise of our own bodies from eating this shit. And I'm not knocking y'all, but we gotta find a way. Like, some people like, bro, I did the research. What the fuck can you eat? Nothing, nigga. And I get it, because that's what I be saying. Like, yeah, I feel you. Nothing. No, that means that you have to start slow. You can't go cold turkey because you're gonna fuck yourself up. You take one thing off your plate, you take like 2 things off your plate, and you take as much as you can, but you do this with your kids so they already got that foundation. And then as your kids get older, they take something else off their plate. But at the same time, I need to be researching. There's other ways to get what we call so-called protein or what we call that. You know what I mean? Everybody right now so woke. I've been watching all year, and I know niggas half-hearted. Everybody running around selling this, CMOS, all this other shit. Like, niggas half-hearted. And I'm not talking about where I'm from. I'm talking about around the country. Niggas half-hearted. They'll sell you these bottles of CMOS, but if you know the studies, then at the end of the day, you need a big amount. You need like a 5 gallon. You need a 5 gallon of that shit, and you need to mix it with water and let it sit. And then you got to drink them shits in big amounts. Yes, if you take CMOS, we so sick. And our body's so off balance that if we take that little sea moss and drink it, the little bits we get in every day, that shit, we so fucked up mentally in our bodies that that little bit is going to regenerate shit. But it's not enough to sustain and to do it properly, right? But there's other ways, you know what I'm saying? And we have to be able, we have to create that shit. The same way we can create everything else. You know what I'm saying? Rap songs and inventions and shit, we can create it. That's what we do. You know what I mean? And then not to think about it at the end of the day, like these holidays wasn't these holidays still around during slavery? So how much God-fearing and how much did they really love niggas? You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, I guarantee you that you think that they was cooking? Oh, it's Christmas, Thanksgiving, take off, go see your family. Fuck no. They still had to cook for both sides, and then they got the great meal, and then they got the leftover, the shit that the master and them didn't want. You know what I'm saying? The chitlins and shit. You know what I mean? The whole ideology of that shit wrong is my point. You know what I mean? But I pray this morning that y'all understand where I'm coming from, because I stopped years ago and I watched financially how much I improved. No Christmas, I still do for the kids. You know what I'm saying? You know, no this, no that, no Valentine's Day. End of the day, I don't need. Why do we need somebody to tell us when? Oh yeah, I jumped the line. We got Valentine's Day. I gotta say this. Then we got Mother's Day. You feel me? They're telling us when to worship our women. Now, this is my opinion. Y'all can judge me for it. In Europe, historically, they never respected their women. It's history. This ain't racism. It's history. Right? So I felt like in America, they had to make certain days where they had to value their woman and their wife. It was never our thing. We had hollered everything we did. We prayed to God. We had to pray through a woman. You know what I'm saying? Like, you feel me? What we did, the Holy Mother and all that concept and all that shit has always been there. It's what we choose to do. But when we got colonized by people who did not respect women in power, it took our whole logic and put it on our head, right? But even with this shit, like I always say at the end of the day, yes, the woman has always been on the top of the hierarchy of the family at the end of the day, but she has to be in the right place, just like he has to be in the right place. We got to stop saying, if men would do their job, I'd be a better woman. If women do that, no, it's a balance. You feel me? We don't give a fuck. We can't even stop doing holidays because it ain't just the holidays. We got to compete with our friends' kids. That's some sick ass shit. You know what I'm saying? What type of, if your son getting straight A's and doing shit he supposed to do and you want to go out the way for him, no doubt. But half of these kids ain't doing what the fuck they supposed to do. Half cleaning out, do what the fuck they supposed to do. And niggas still spoiling them because they trying to give their kids the life that they didn't have. And then we missed the whole blessing that our parents was trying to teach us about this shit. You know what I mean? Just like I say, like we the generation now, we ain't taking our kids to church or to the mosque on average because of what we learned about the bullshit and religion. But I had to realize to myself, like, yo, we really hurt our kids more than we helped them too. Because at least when they was in the church, when they little, they had a foundation of being good and being positive, or in the Jewish synagogue or wherever, they got this foundation. We were supposed to, when they became 16, 17, elevate their mind. Because they still need to know some of this shit so that when you tell them the true knowledge, it makes sense and they got a reference point. That's how the mystery system works. Yeah, they told the kids these baby-ass stories like Christianity and Islam and religion. Those was the baby roots. That's how they first gave it to you. It wasn't that they so wrong. Those are the beginning stages for children. Then when you got older, you're supposed to elevate to another level. And then when you got grown, y'all supposed to get fruition. Which is the answer to this shit. When like Jesus was a carpenter and his father was a carpenter, they telling they was masons. Because the carpenter tools and shit, it's another conversation. These things are very important, but at the end of the day, we get up every day and we don't realize at the end of the day, your ancestors is pissed the fuck off at y'all niggas. They done watched y'all for y'all whole life, get up and worship the days, and they died for this shit. And y'all up here eating and celebrating, not in their name. And they even told you as kids, like they told us, like think about it, as little kids, they tell us about this tragic ass story. But they give it to us every year in the way where we learn it, but then they show us pictures of these light-skinned Indians, so we disassociate it. If they showed your kids pictures of niggas that look like me and you at that table, light-skinned people, dark-skinned people, copper-looking people, you know what I'm saying? Then we would feel differently, you feel me, about what we getting. So I've been wanting to make a comment, but you've been so 100 with so much of the time, I type it out. You on the next point. I wish more people would just think about the 50. Nah, bro, type that shit. Because at the end of the day, when people watch this later, you know what I mean, your comments, like what you thinking when we live, and like I realize that the stuff that y'all type, when I go back and read it, it's like it's other people in the room that's watching that might not say nothing, but they feel the same way you feel. So maybe a question or the thing you type give clarity to somebody in the room because you know I'm speaking, but I'm moving forward. So the things that's very important, if y'all type it on the board and really go in on, that's what that shit about. Because people do read them. But I agree. I just wish people, I'm not knocking it. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna go pull up on my mother today. I'm keeping it funky with y'all. I'm gonna go pull up on my mom, my sister. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna say what's up. I'm gonna sit around because I get it. It's family. But when I first started doing this shit, everybody kind of like blackballed me. Like, who the fuck you think he is? Who I am is that I became myself. And I told myself that I'm not living for other people and we got to get here. This is what a man is. I told myself, I know my family and people going to be mad at me because they think I'm changing and shit. But this is for me. You feel me? So I stopped celebrating holidays for the first 2 years. Everybody got an attitude with me like, what the fuck? Like, listen, it's for me. What right do my family, my siblings, or anybody got the right to get mad at me for me? I'm not mad at you for celebrating. I'm just asking you to use your fucking brain. You know what I mean? BH.